know you are a fan because of that jersey.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the part-time adventurer. That is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today we're taking a little bit of a deviation from the worlds of mystic and magic and comics and sci-fi, and talking about a movie that covers a subject that is near and dear and shaped our childhoods just as much as any of these Marvel stories and books and toys and stuff. And that would be the brand new Ben Affleck, Matt Damon vehicle, Air.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the not so much focus of this movie, but sort of the focus, but you never see him, but he's in it, but he's not really in it, but it's about him. But yes, Air, directed by Ben Affleck, probably one of the most underappreciated directors, I feel, even though he has won awards. But Mark, why don't we talk about why we're reviewing this? So obviously, I'm repping a Bulls 23 Jordan jersey. But what about you? Why are we talking about this?
I feel like this is just a huge part of our childhoods, right? I mean, we grew up in the Chicagoland area in the 90s, and nothing was bigger, nothing was better, nothing was more just fun to watch. And I guarantee we've seen the best NBA games we'll ever see because we watched Michael Jordan play.
So I think we might be showing our hand as to what I want to ask a little bit later on. But Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. And yes, we were in the Chicagoland area, obviously Chicago Bulls fans. But this is one of the very first basketball players that was really universally loved. And a lot of it had to do with his marketability, the way he played, and most importantly, those shoes.
Dude, it must be the shoes.
Spike Lee had the awesome commercials with him. Is it the shoes? Is it the shoes? Like, it's so crazy that before then, everything was like a team basketball shoe. So I'm kind of going into like a little bit at the beginning of the movie, right? So Converse was like a universal NBA shoe, the official shoe, I believe, at the time for like all the top stars. You got Dr. J, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, probably a laundry list of others, but those were the big three. And Michael Jordan comes in and he has his own shoe line. Crazy stuff. When you saw that at the beginning of the movie, were you thinking like it was that big of a deal at the time?
So I may be a little too into sneakers at times and like know the backstory to this a lot. The backstory wasn't, at least the sneaker landscape portion of it was not a huge surprise. I mean, I remember specifically those times in the 80s when it was just like, well, you can get some Chucks or you can get some shell toe Adidas. And that was about it, right? Like everything else was running shoes. I grew up in the shoe culture and I love it. I love it. I still, Jordan 11s are my favorite by far, but I remember like when Jordans came out and just how awesome they were. And they came out with new ones every year. And you're just like, how do I even get these? And when I was younger, I couldn't get them. They were an unattainable item for me. But as I got older, I definitely have a decent Jordan collection. It's the only shoes I really like, keep going back to. But I think that the magnitude of how it changed everything about the sneaker game and their conversations in this movie about what the market share for basketball shoes in general was. Not what companies had them, but how many pairs were sold in general was really kind of like, well, that's different now.
So I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum for that because when it came to shoes, I and this probably stood true up until like my college years. I never really had those designer shoes. Never. Uh, I've only actually had one pair of Jordans, and it was when I was younger, when I was a kid, when they first started coming out, and it was really popular. You knew who the rich kids were because they had the fresh Jordans in like third grade or second grade, right? And so I'm just sitting there in my McGregor shoes and Lotto shoes, and I think I had a couple pairs of LA gear. So do you remember those shoes?
Do you have the BK Knights with the diamonds inside?
No, BK Knights were like something else that was even more trendy that I never got.
Or the Diamond? Was it
Oh, I
Diamond?
don't know. That sounds familiar, but if it was at Payless, that's what I got. Lotto, McGregor, and I was actually proud of my McGregor shoes because I was like, "Oh, this is the same name as the basketball that I have, McGregor. So it's got to be good, right?" But I was a big basketball fan. I love playing basketball, and I wonder because there was that aura around shoes. If you wore a pair of Jordans, you could jump higher, you could run faster, you played basketball better. But I wonder if I would have had a pair of Jordans, would I have played basketball a little bit better? Because I was pretty good, but I was running some shit gear, man. I had some
I,
awful
I
kicks.
feel like I feel like if you had Jordans with about 6 inches of lift in them, you would have done okay. But I feel like basketball and height were a problem for you.
No, dude, I could jump. I was tall for my age. I was a high jumper in high school. So no, I could like I wasn't able to dunk, but I was like very, very close. I was just about like maybe 3 to 4 inches off, which isn't that bad for someone of my height, which I'm not a short guy. I'm just under 6 foot, but I really grew fast when I was young, and I peaked at like eighth grade. I have not grown in terms of how tall I am since eighth grade. So I was like just under 6 feet in eighth grade. So I was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, no, I've never dunked either, at least on a 10-foot rim. Um, but yeah, no, the is it the shoes thing? Obviously a great marketing ploy. And I feel like results in any sport have a lot to do with confidence. So maybe they would have helped there. But it seems like those McGregors really set you up for success.
Well, when I started playing organized sports in junior high, and like I was good, my dad would fork out some money to get some at least name brand shoes or like certain athletes shoes, but they were always like on the sale price. Like I never got Jordans until I think it was my senior year of high school. And I want to ask you before I answer what Jordans those were, when did you get your first pair of Jordans and which ones were they?
I got them in junior high when I went out to play basketball, the only year I played organized team basketball. Um, and they were Jordan 10s, which were the ones that nobody wanted because they were the year they retired and played baseball. So so it was all good. Like I had my Jordan 10s, which had all of his accomplishments listed on the sole. I remember them. They were black on gray and black. They were not like the normal color. They were like a secondary offshoot color, which they don't do a retro of very often. But yeah, loved those shoes. They didn't look as distinct as some of the other earlier Jordans because they were, black on black. But yeah, yeah, totally had those. Loved
Okay.
them. And they were my only pair of Jordans in my school years until I got to college,
Okay.
until I was buying my own luxury goods.
Gotcha. So I got the Jordan 13s in my senior year of high school because they were on like clearance at a Foot Locker outlet. And so I
Those
ended
are
up
some
getting them.
awesome Jordans.
Yeah. You know how many times I wore them? Twice. Wore them
What?
twice. Wore them for maybe 3 times, but I wore them for a few intramural basketball games. And afterwards, I was like, I don't really like these. I don't care. And so I ended up giving them to my dad so that way he could give them to my cousins in the Philippines. So he brought it in like a huge ass care package. And I'm pretty sure it didn't even fit whoever he gave them to, but it was like, I'll grow into it. And so if any of my cousins listen in the Philippines who got those shoes, I hope you enjoyed them because
You're welcome.
but yeah, I wasn't a big Jordan shoe fan. Like, I didn't even like the look of the 13s. I was just like, I guess I'll get them because they're on sale. And that's the only reason I got them. I think they were like $50. And I was like, why not get a pair of Jordans for $50 in high school?
That's an obscene deal on Jordans.
Yeah. Yeah. Those Foot Locker outlet mans, they were
Dude.
freaking amazing. I don't even know if they still exist,
Oh,
but
they do.
do they?
Or the Nike outlets have outshined them, but I remember those Foot Locker outlets.
I remember one specifically that I would get so many good deals. And this is when I started buying a lot of shoes. It was on Harlem and like near 127th.
Yes, I
The
remember that one.
and that was like a slamming place. Like you had to get
Yes,
there and you had to like jockey for position for the clearance
Mhm.
shoes. And I
You
got
did.
like track spikes, the Jordans, and for the basketball gear that I wore, I had Tim Hardaway's. And funny thing is I got the Deion Sanders shoes for basketball. Also, they
I
look
mean, you were
cool.
prime time, baby.
They looked really cool, and they still make those shoes, but it's just a different. It's not the Deion primetime logo in it, but same exact shoe, just a different name or color scheme.
But honestly, my second pair of Jordans was on a re-release. I got the Jordan 11s. These are not those shoes that I bought. These are another re-release because Nike brings these out every year right for Christmas, like or Black Friday. There's a new pair of Jordan 11s coming out in a different colorway.
Are are
But
they really that comfortable though?
they're a little on the narrow side, but they stretch out nice, and I just love them. The patent leather gets me. The Jordan ones are super comfy when you break them in because they're almost like Vans, right? It's just a big air sole and they're stretchy or not stretchy, but they're just like that softer leather material. But I'm a huge fan of the look of the patent leather ones, though you can't really pull them off with much these days
Mm-hmm.
unless it's jeans and whatever.
Yeah, unless
Yeah,
you're wearing like a XXXL or size, like I don't know what the sizes of jerseys are, like the 92 size jerseys where it's like super oversized and like a baggy pair of jeans, it just doesn't
yeah,
fit.
no, as a middle-aged white man, I can't pull them off, but I love them, so I have them because that's what you do.
Okay. Well, yeah, for like I said, I love Jordan. The shoes, I was never a huge Jordan shoe fan, mostly just because of money. And for me, the funny thing is when I was listening to or reading some of the articles and hearing some talk about the movie, like how Jordan was a big fan of Adidas, that's what I like the look of for shoes now is Adidas shoes. Not like the basketball ones, but just the
Yeah.
flat out like, fashionable like either Sambas or that type of look. Like I just like the look of Adidas. And yeah, I've got quite a few pairs of those. In terms of the movie, directed by Ben Affleck, starring also Matt Damon, his buddy. Let's talk a little bit about that partnership and their work over the years. What is your favorite Ben Affleck and Matt Damon movie?
Man, this one's gonna be in like the top three. But going back to them knowing each other when they grew up, if you are on YouTube, you can search and after you're finished listening to this podcast in its entirety, you can search and find videos of them talking about how they grew up together, how, they did a bunch of stuff together. They did a bunch of movies together. Like the first real movie they did together was School Ties, even though they were both extras in Field of Dreams, which I didn't know until they just did a conversation about this movie, like in pub for this movie. But they did so many things together. Everybody just thinks of Good Will Hunting, which I love. Love, love, love. But I think my favorite movie with the two of them is Dogma.
Ooh, same here. Very rarely do we agree on anything really, but that movie is awesome, and it's truly because they're working together, right? On
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting, sort of. I think it was more Ben Affleck and Casey Affleck and Matt Damon,
Yeah.
as opposed to
And
like
Robin Williams.
right, right. But
If you made me pick a movie to watch, I'd watch Good Will Hunting over Dogma. But if you ask me my favorite Ben Affleck and Matt Damon movie where they actually work together and the scenes they have together, they got that great talking about how every time I walk between my car and the door, a conversation, right? Like their scenes together in Good Will Hunting are great. And as you think about these two guys, like I love that this movie has the quintessential parts that they bring to movies. It's got the Matt Damon, um, you know, long form dialogue piece, right? It's got his speech, right? He had a speech in every movie, right? He had a speech in Good Will Hunting about why I shouldn't work for the NSA, Club of Baby Seals, shoot my friend, marry his wife. And I love that. Had to learn that for school back in the day for some speech class in college. Thought it was hilarious to watch the teacher's face when I talked about Club and a Baby Seal. But loved his Sonny Vaccaro speech in this, thought it's perfect. And that, he's the guy to deliver it. And Affleck got to be quirky, which is Affleck's new thing. And I really both enjoyed him and the terrible hairpiece he wore as the shoe dog, Phil Knight.
he looked like he just lost a lot of weight for this movie, or just has just gotten skinny overall. Just his diet consists of cigarettes and nothing, and that's why he lost so much weight. But he's he plays that character very well, and I don't know, Ben Affleck can do no wrong in my eyes, with the exception of maybe Reindeer Games, but even that was semi entertaining. I'm a Ben Affleck fan. I like him, and he can play that important but small part very well. Think of Boiler Room. Not a huge part of the movie, but his monologues in that, amazing.
Yeah, no, love Boiler Room. Such an underrated sales movie, as is this movie. I love that we got another sales pitch movie, which I think is another thing near and dear to our hearts.
I did enjoy Matt Damon as that degenerate gambler that just has a feeling, and he's going to go with that feeling. And so I wanted to see a little bit more of that. I wanted to see like a little bit more drama with his little gambling problem, which I don't know if it was a problem. He just liked to gamble. I think that was part of the reasoning as to why it's like they needed to show him at that opening scene for Blackjack, or was that what he was playing, Blackjack? I can't remember. But
He was playing craps.
oh, craps,
first,
that's right.
He put in a sports bet on the Lakers game that was super detailed.
It was, yeah.
And then he was rolling them bones.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I don't know why I thought Blackjack for whatever reason, but
I was just happy to see Matt Damon in Vegas. Yeah, Rounders 2, let's go.
Why the hell did they not make a Rounders 2, and why the hell wasn't Ben Affleck in it? Like, just why could we not have that movie? We should totally have that movie.
We still can. They're both still alive.
Yeah,
all of them are
pretty far removed from like
John
what, 2000,
John Malkovich,
like 97 maybe, or 98. Rounders came out, but
something
man,
in that ballpark. You're right.
I love that movie.
You got a pair of Jordans and an amazing movie that year.
Yeah, right. So with the the cast, okay. So did you really know what this movie was going to be about as we went into it, or did you think it was going to be more Jordan focused or as heavily focused on the Matt Damon character?
I knew it was about them pitching Nike to Jordan or Jordan's affiliation with Nike or something like that. I had no idea the names of any of the people involved. I only know who Phil Knight is because he's the CEO of Nike and the founder, and he was in Prefontaine. Not he, but his story was part of Prefontaine. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie,
I did
but
not.
when he,
Is that
yeah,
Jared
when
Leto?
he, might have been.
Did you? So you didn't know who David Falk was, his agent?
No, I probably saw him in The Last Dance, but I did not know of him what I learned in this movie.
I didn't
His sad,
realize.
sad eating alone thing.
I didn't realize he was at least the way he's portrayed in this movie. He's a ball buster prick, and I didn't think that. Maybe I just assumed that everyone involved with Jordan was just a nice guy. And but yeah, I guess to be a sports agent, you kind of have to be a little bit of a have a little bit of an edge to you. But man, the guy who played him, who was he? Chris Messina, freaking amazing job. It made me more curious. Now I want to see like if this could ever happen, I would go watch a David Falk movie because it seems like that guy has so many athletes and so many stories that could be told about his business deals and the ups and downs of his overall business and his way that he acted and how either cold-blooded or just a smart business guy.
He seemed really nice in like I said in the Bulls documentary, but yeah, I just love that back and forth. The where he's like, I'm either gonna run you out of this business or I'm gonna be your best friend. I loved it. I was eating it up. It's like it's a mentality that I think we both kind of were on the tail end of in our early sales careers that now is dead. It's pretty much gone. Like people don't talk to each other like that anymore. You don't, it's that is not acceptable.
Did they ever talk like that, or is it just really romanticized in movies?
Oh, I worked with some old timers that
Okay.
definitely were like, what the oh, there was some good language going on.
I guess I never
Yeah.
worked with anyone that talented. That's they never had that killer edge. Like all of them
Yeah.
were like nice guys or that like had really good numbers that thought they were better than everyone else. But maybe there's one. There's one who was an old timer, at least in comparison to my age. But I certainly enjoyed working with him, and he was very talented. Uh, it was one of those things where we would go back and forth with each other of like he knew his skill set, I knew mine. We both had a very different way of selling. And yeah, now that I take that back, there's one guy that even comes close to that. And
I love that. Just completely going out of order of this movie. I loved that they needed to put Nike trivia in the end that was in no way relevant to the story whatsoever. At the end, where they're like, "Well, I guess we can sprinkle some Nike in here." It's like whoever wrote it was like, "Look, I did the research. It's in the movie."
yeah. Oh man, I don't know. But going in throughout this movie, you have David Falk, who's really great. Viola Davis, who plays Jordan's mom. What are your thoughts on her performance?
So, I mean, Viola Davis is impeccable in every movie ever, including this one. It is, to my understanding, and I'm not well connected or a member of the media. I'm just a dude with a podcast. Um, that Jordan wouldn't sign off on his name being used in this unless Viola Davis played his mom.
I heard that rumor.
So yeah, I thought she was great in this. What did you think of her husband, Julius Tennant, in this movie.
Who is
Her
also her husband.
on-screen husband and her off-screen husband.
Nice guy. Nice guy. I thought he looked a little too old to be Jordan's dad at the time, though.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think that James Jordan was the focus of this.
Right.
I think that it wanted to show how much Dolores Jordan is a G.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she made that phone call, and I don't know if it was dramatized in that way, but either way, like that woman is not just sitting back. She is, I would say, a very big part of the reason that her son is so successful.
Yeah. Well, Jordan did say that he makes the joke, both of his parents are like 5'10" or under, but the mailman's 6'7" or something like that. So, but yeah, it's a cool dynamic. I like Viola Davis. I enjoy her in every role that she's in. She does very well here, and the limited screen time that she has, it's very impactful. And I would say that I don't know if there's anyone else in this film that has that same type of impact, because everything is hanging on that conversation with her, right? It depends on what she says, how she says it. She's whatever goes is going to go through her.
I agree. You talk about cast and having an impact. Bateman was in so much of this movie, and he almost disappears for me. Like he was funny. He was Bateman. It was the same Jason Bateman we got in like Couples Retreat and stuff like that. I love Jason Bateman. I have no problems, but like he had there's not like, I can't say to you, you remember the Jason Bateman scene in this movie? Because there wasn't one.
My wife just kept on commenting on his hair, his 80s hair.
Luscious, baby. Yeah. It was like he grew that out during the pandemic when all of us did a little stupid thing with our hair. But it was luscious, baby.
You know who my favorite character was in this movie, though? It was Chris Tucker's character.
Why did they let Chris Tucker play oh my God. Like, I love Chris Tucker. I think Chris Tucker is such a versatile actor at this point, and love that he only takes on roles that are like challenging. I don't know. I don't know.
I like
it
seeing
almost
him.
Felt token to me.
Well, I like seeing him in a role that he wasn't just the comedic relief.
I agree. It's like Chappelle in oh my God, what's the movie with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper that
never saw it?
Fans are gonna go off the deep end on that one, buddy.
Go right ahead, because I'll be swimming in some other area, because I don't give a shit about that movie. You want to torture? If I lose a bet, you can have me watch that movie. But
no, we already established you're gonna watch a different movie.
I don't see how I'm gonna lose a bet. So either way,
if you lose a bet, it's Jersey Girl, buddy.
Well, that's fine. I'll watch it.
But I agree. Chris Tucker was great in this movie. I thought he was really good.
Matt Damon. We didn't really talk about him. What did you think about
the guy who carried the whole movie?
I mean, he's in the whole movie, but does he carry it?
I think so. I mean, there were some really interesting cameos in this, or not cameos, but like casting decisions, like Marlon Wayans, another actor completely outside of the roles we normally see him in. Loved him. Thought he was great. Felt the friendship and camaraderie, enjoyed it. You know who I was disappointed wasn't in this movie more, didn't have a bigger role that I would have loved in this movie? Is Bob Sugarman himself, Jay Moore.
Ugh. I think Jay Moore is not very liked at this point in his career.
I mean, it is what it is.
I'm fine without Jay Moore. We had plenty of other white people, and other white people that I enjoy a whole lot more, like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Chris Messina. Chris Messina, like in my opinion, besides Viola Davis being solid and Chris Tucker as George Raveling, he was my favorite character. I would say that Chris Messina's David Falk, I think he carried this movie because it all depended on his reaction that would kind of steer Sonny Vaccaro, Matt Damon's character, into whatever mode that he needed to be. So I think, in my opinion, I liked him as a character overall, and I think he kind of held the movie together because he kind of held all the cards. He's like Jordan's mom. It's all through, and like, don't fuck with me. I'll just like what you said before. I'll either be your best friend or fucking eat your breakfast or whatever. Whatever that comment was.
No, I agree. I think that Chris and Matt definitely carried a lot of it. I thought Affleck playing the quirky Phil Knight
The shoeless CEO.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I because I liked this movie so much, and it's been like on my list, but nowhere near a priority. I had an Audible credit in my account, and I picked up Shoe Dog. I'm gonna listen to that only because I watched this movie and enjoyed Affleck's Phil Knight so much that I'm like, I want to hear what this guy said about his craziness.
Yeah,
I'm all about some crazy CEOs, and I love it.
I am glad I saw the picture of him at the end without his shoes on, because I was wondering, like, why the fuck is this like a Ben Affleck method move? Like, I'm a CEO, I'm gonna fucking take my shoes off. That's what I would do. So I'm glad that I saw a picture of him do that, because like, oh, okay, cool. He stayed true to the character.
And his purple Porsche.
Yeah, yeah.
So while I loved all those people, I'm going to tell you what my sleeper favorite character was in this movie. Can you guess, or you want me to tell you?
I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone else left in the movie to talk about.
Small but powerful role of Peter Moore, which is Matthew Maher.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
The shoe designer, the guy they kept in the basement, who goes down. He's like, I'm an artist. I loved it. I was like, oh my god, they got a guy in the basement. This is good. This is great.
That was good. That was good. I liked him, and I liked his dedication to the craft.
We it's just so the way he talked about art is the way I'd want to work with an industrial designer that talked about things that way, because I have no eye or artistic talent. So it would make me feel like a warm blanket to work with somebody who's that quirky around design, because it's going to be amazing. People who have that level of confidence about their job, you've met a few of them in your career. I have too, where you show up and they're just like, oh, we don't have a plan. Well, what do you kind of need? Okay, I'll just do that. And it's awesome. And it works. Always.
Yeah, I think that for this movie, you needed some type of X factor as to like, okay, well, this whole movie's about trying to get Jordan signed on to the brand. There does need to be some mysticism around the design of the shoe. But I wonder if at some point, are there people out there that watch this movie and they think like, really? This is who designed the shoe? Maybe I don't think Jordans are that great looking anymore. Like, this crazy ass white boy designed the shoe.
Well, so I don't know if you know who Tinker Hatfield is.
If it has anything to do with shoes,
he designed the Jordans that you like, and designed a lot of the mid to late Jordans. He's credited a lot with a lot of the like really awesome Jordan looks, but Peter Moore did some of the originals, and it, like in the after credit scene, right? He was the one that decided that the outline of Jordan from that picture should be the logo and stuff like that. I mean, the guy had some definite talent, but the funny part is it's always been a quirky white guy designing Jordans. Tinker Hatfield, if you Google him, is definitely a character. and has designed some of the most amazing Nikes you'll ever see.
I will say, whoever designed the Jordan 7s, that, they must have enjoyed Taco Bell, because that thing looked like it was just designed in a 90s Taco Bell. Not a fan. Crazy ass look. That
Um,
was the shoe that I believe he wore when they won against the Phoenix Suns, if I'm not mistaken. But such a
that
weird
would
ass
be
shoe.
Tinker Hatfield. Jordan
Ugh,
3 through Jordan 15. 3
Jesus.
through 15 was all Tinker.
Wow.
And
And I
he
might
came back for the 20 and the 23s and the 25s and the 29s.
must be a Taco Bell fan, because those Jordans with the purple and the weird ass
Yeah, I remember
design.
him.
Uh, and I might be wrong. Maybe it was for the Blazers title, but or that year that they won against the Blazers. But fucking awful shoes,
Were
awful
those
looking
for the
shoes.
All-Star game where they had those amazing Phoenix jerseys? Do you remember
Oh,
the Phoenix All-Star game jerseys?
is that with the teal jerseys or no? I don't know. You mean that when the All Star game was good, when they actually played?
Yes.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but
They were those teal jerseys that you're talking about. It was teal and purple, teal versus purple, and they had the cactus on them. Yeah,
okay,
it was those. You're dead on the jersey you're thinking about. It is 100% that teal jersey.
got it. Okay, I want to say, was that
Those
like,
Taco Bell shoes would have 100% matched that outfit.
that's all I could think about. Like, I remember when I first saw them, someone in my, I think it was like second or third grade class wore them. And I was like, what the fuck are those? I was like, these are the Jordans. And everyone's like, oh yeah, they're great. I was like, those look fucking stupid. They look like they just got designed at Taco Bell and someone was eating a Mexican pizza and some nachos and it fell on a black shoe and that's what came out. That's what it looked like to me.
So I'm not gonna lie. In the 90s, all of us were eating at Taco Bell, having a Mexican pizza and some
Loved it.
cinnamon twists, baby.
Loved it. Mexican
Oh,
pizza, one of my favorite Taco Bell dishes
I
of all
love that
time.
it came back. Is it still back? I don't even know.
It is. And you know what? You know what I haven't had in like the last 15 years? The
What?
Mexican pizza. I've never had it in the last 15 years.
You know, when I stopped going to Taco Bell is when they stopped giving me the double decker, baby. The
You can
double decker changed everything and completely influenced my at-home homemade taco recipes
Are you
because
not
you got to have some
familiar?
refried beans to put on the soft shell and you put the hard shell in it and it changes everything.
You could get that. You could just have them add it in and they could make it for you.
They tell you no at the drive-through. They're like, that's discontinued.
So
I
you
have a
order
terrible Taco Bell.
so you
Shout
order
out.
a tortilla with some refried beans and then a regular taco. And that's what you do.
That would confuse the drive-through people at my Taco
They've
Bell.
got a button.
Shout out to the New Lenox, Illinois Taco Bell. Y'all suck. You want to sponsor our podcast? Too bad. Will not accept that money.
So we've talked about the movie, the characters. Something I want to talk about too is the occasional things that popped up in the movie, and those are the Nike principles. So, Mark, give me your thoughts on that stuff. I've got them pulled up right here. What did you think about that? And did you think that that was kind of made up for the movie?
Oh no, I knew it wasn't made up for the movie because this is the thing with companies, right? They've all got their principles, and I love it. I loved it so much that I Googled it, and again, like downloaded that book because I want to know why these are the Nike principles, and I guarantee they're talked about in there, right? But they're so like they're a mix of corporate speak and like Oregon hippie, and I love it. I was just because I was pausing and reading them as they're showing the poster, right? Coming from where we come from, like those training principles are really important. And oh, I loved it. I loved it. Do you want to read them or you want me to read them?
You go ahead.
The first one, our business is change. They make shoes. I love it. I love that they're just like, it's not about the shoes, man. Oh, so good. And two, we're on offense all the time.
Is it just because they thought that they sucked, or is it because
I think that's exactly what this principle says.
turn this
Can't
shit
give
up
up.
because we suck, we need to survive? I like it. I like number three.
Yeah.
This perfect results count, not a perfect process. Break the rules, fight the law. Very
Damn
interesting.
the man, save the empire.
But perfect results count, not a perfect process. Some would say it's the other way around. That perfect process needs to be there because you can't
Yeah.
get a perfect result. There's no
Oh
such
man.
thing as perfect practice. That's why they call it fucking practice.
Number four is this is as much about battle as about business.
No, it's not.
That is such an old school. We're in this to fight. No.
Are you guys using swords? Is you guys
Just,
pulling M16 out? Is that what's happening?
you can tell that these people have never been to battle in the backwoods of Oregon.
I feel very anytime that someone uses up the euphemism of like, or even just comparison of like, we're at war right now. We need to win this market share. Like, I'm pretty sure you're not spilling your guts into mud somewhere and you're like holding a wound and you're picking up your leg because it just got blown off. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not that serious.
Assume nothing. Make sure people keep their promises. Push yourselves, push others. Stretch the possible.
Okay, I could dig that. That's fine to me.
You know what I've got there? That in and of itself is a complete separate corporate, like that they just, I like these, put those in.
Yeah. It's like this could have been like 5, 6, 7, and 8, and just like okay,
Yeah,
nah,
these aren't principles. This is a full SWOT analysis. We're getting into strengths, weaknesses, obstacles, the whole thing. The whole thing. 6, it might be the one that like one of these things is not like the other. Live off the land.
the fuck does that mean?
It's one of my favorite rides at Epcot.
It's my favorite. Yeah, I would say it's definitely one of my favorites. Very underappreciated.
Oh, you got to live off the land, baby.
But you know what, Mark? I want to say the next one because your job isn't done until the job is done.
That's it. We're all getting behind this whole thing.
But it's
You
not
don't
done.
stop until we don't stop. That's why they had that toxic stay overnight and steal culture. Those who work late get free snacks. That's what we learned.
Number 8 is interesting to me. Dangers, bureaucracy, personal ambition, energy takers versus energy givers, knowing our weaknesses, don't get too many things on the platter. I think they put too many things on the platter on this number 8 because this is just a fucking throw up, vomit, diarrhea bullshit.
Oh, it is. It is. And this entire movie was 60% bureaucracy and fueled by Sonny Vaccaro's personal ambitions.
Yeah, definitely taking a lot of energy. And I don't know if there was giving a whole lot of energy. I think just a lot of
maybe to Ben Affleck's running outfit. Somebody
Yeah.
put some energy into sourcing all that pink for that wide-shouldered son of a bitch.
I was waiting for that tracksuit and those sunglasses. I was like, come on, show the fucking tracksuit.
It was so good. And while I am a huge detractor of what I call the Terminator glasses, which is any sunglasses that both lenses meet with a thick piece in the crossbar. Like I don't think anybody can pull those off unless you're like playing the outfield somewhere and need to flip them down and flip them back up, right? But Ben Affleck pulling them off.
I will say, I disagree with your assessment in calling them Terminator glasses. Not even close to Terminator glasses because Terminator never had glasses like that. But you know who they are? Brett the Hitman Hart sunglasses.
Oh, the other guy who could pull them off.
The only guy that could pull
guy.
It's seriously the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
Oh, the best and the greasiest The most hair, the greasiest hair, and the waviest hair there ever will be.
When you're the excellence of execution, you can do what you want.
Oh, jeez.
Number 9. This is
Wait,
a
hang
great
on.
one. Oh, okay.
Is it a coincidence that the two people that could pull off those glasses both wore hot pink in their spangly outfits?
Maybe there's a correlation. I don't know. Maybe.
Saying correlation, causation, impact.
Number 9. This is the best one. It won't be pretty. Can you imagine if you walk into a job and one of the principals is like on the door and it says, "This is going to fucking suck"?
I would say that that's the most honest principle on the list of principles. I mean, when you start with not a perfect process, break the rules, it's about battle, your job isn't done, it's not going to be pretty there, man. There's going to be burnout and turnover and hate and anger and all this stuff. Not a very psychologically safe environment at Nike, but all of them just like to run. Why do they run? To get the fuck away from Nike.
I liked the scene where Matt Damon jogs for like a solid 10 feet. He's like,
fuck this.
Fuck, this is stupid.
I don't know what was better when it comes to running references. Him doing that or Chris Tucker talking about the crazy white folks that run in the rain. Yeah. I was like, I'm with my own brother. They're just running and they know it's going to rain. I don't know what's going on here. And I was like, man, that's I don't know if I feel how I feel about the tokenness of this, but it's funny.
All right, number 10, I'll let you do the honors.
If we do the right things, we'll make money damn near automatic.
I take it back. That's the best one.
Is it?
I think it's the best one.
It's the most wrong.
Really? Because I think if you do the fucking job and you do it right, that's what you're supposed to be doing. And the process should be put into place where, yes, it will work. I don't know. I dig it. I dig that one.
Is this going to get printed out and put, over Captain America's shoulder?
I'm going to put my own list of things. And you know what? Next episode, I will have a list of the I Can Do This All Day podcast principles.
Check the comments section. That's going to be on our Patreon.
Check our OnlyFans. That's what it is.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have an OnlyFans principles of podcast conversation.
I'm going to write it on my left ass cheek and get it tattooed that way.
Last thing we got to talk about with this deal is the actual terms of the final closed deal, which I loved that his mom was such a G to come into it and say, yep. Oh, by the way, everything that has his name on it, we want a piece of. They thought it was the smartest thing ever to name it the Air Jordan till they had to pay percentage on that shit. And he's just like, that's not how that works. This is not how we do business. Like, their businesses change, but they're not changing that.
If you knew, or I'm sorry, if you didn't know that the movie was about a Michael Jordan and like you were listening to that conversation, would you think that Matt Damon's really fucking it up right there? Like, you're going to lose this deal.
So the reason that scene feels misaligned to me is the entire movie. Sonny is advocating and advocating and advocating and advocating. And then he decides to make assumptions from fear and possibly kill what he's been advocating for the entire time. He didn't. The thing that killed me is you didn't even ask what percentage are you looking for?
Yeah.
If I give you 0.1%, is that cool? That's a percentage. Like, what are you looking for? He just said no. And I think we both know that that's a very poor sales process there. He did not do a good job overcoming objections. No isolation, no understanding, nothing.
Yeah.
It was very off character to me, but I didn't give a shit because Viola Davis was like, it's just gonna be how it works, baby.
Yeah. It was I was like cringing. I was like, geez, man, like this is not a good potential closing tool right here. Like you either fucking fake it till you make it, or just say, hey, no promises. I'll go to the board and see what we can do. But I think we're going to be very comfortable here at Nike with you, and you'll be very successful, and your entire family, along with your son, will be very, very happy.
That's it. And then you move on, regroup with your team
Right?
and figure it out. Like
I
you're
don't
not
know.
out there on an island having to close by yourself. You got to do a TO, baby. It's time to TO that shit.
Mark, ask me the question. Ask me what Michael Jordan's mom allegedly said, and I'll tell you my interpretation of what Matt Damon did.
So we want the 250, but you're also going to have to give us a percentage of everything you sell with the Jordan name on.
Can't be done. Can't be done. It just doesn't work that way. It can't be done. Can't do it.
Oh, baby, you're going to make it be done.
I'm just saying it can't be done. I mean, I'll ask. I don't know, but
That's not how this works. You don't know a lot about, you don't know the apparel business. Literally said, you don't know the apparel business. That these people will freak out.
He might as well have just said it in the same tone that I was, because that's what it sounded like to me. I was like, whoa, Matt Damon, do some research, man.
The best part about that scene was Viola Davis's ability to close, where she said, I understand that this is a disruptive thing, but I think you are the one that said that my son is worth it. So you go out there and get what I would buy a car from Viola Davis. Let's go.
Yeah, well, you would buy a car from Viola Davis, but I'm curious. I've got a question for you, Mark. Do you buy this movie Air, and can you do this all day?
I feel like that is an unfair question to me due to personal bias. I'm the guy that turns on The Last Dance like because I'm bored. Right? I would watch anything involving this story and the person and the whole thing and a sales movie anytime. So if you make a sales movie, there's a 95% chance that I can do it all day. Like this movie, I would totally watch it again and make it part of the rotation. It's a great, like, I definitely enjoy it. Definitely enjoy it. And feel that there are parts of it that can be utilized to explain certain training principles. So I might even use it from a professional perspective as well. So I'm doing it all day, all night, baby. What about you?
Michael Jordan, born in 1963, Brooklyn, New York, went to college in North Carolina, hit the game-winning shot for North Carolina in his freshman year, drafted by the Bulls. Resume, just absolute great. Maybe greatest of all time? I think so. But this movie, I cannot do all day. You want to know why? Is because I love Michael Jordan. I do not love the story without him, and it's just revolving around the shoe deal. It's a good movie, don't get me wrong, but I just can't do it all day. And I've seen it once, and I was like, that was good. I will never think about watching this movie again.
This is like Boiler Room to me.
See, Boiler Room I can do all day for sure. This isn't the same thing, because you get to know some of these characters and get to love these characters, and there's a lot of gray area. For this is just a retelling of a story with some fabrications about someone that I have no care about in the world, and it doesn't influence my opinion about Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time. So,
I know.
like I said, I love hearing about it. I love watching the movie and getting to know about this stuff, but it is not like The Last Dance. It's not like I'm getting to know more stuff about Michael Jordan. I'm knowing more stuff about David Falk, which I would totally now watch something else revolving around him. But I don't need to know about Michael Jordan's mom, who's a great woman. I don't need to know about Sonny Vaccaro. Don't care. And as great as Ben Affleck is as the CEO at Nike with his weird ass foot fetish and just being barefoot on his couch, I don't care. So for that reason, I'm out and I cannot do this all day.
You know what I will say about this movie? It has the absolute best credits music.
It did have a good soundtrack. It had a sweet soundtrack.
No. The music they played when the credits rolled. Act like you didn't smile ear to fucking ear when they started to play the Like Mike song.
So true story. I had the cassette single, not CD single. I had the cassette single, right? And it did you remember the remix of it? Like on the other side? There's like a remix version of it on the other side. You should probably YouTube it. I'm sure it's out there. But I had a basketball court painted in my basement, and I would play all the time with that on loop. Or well, not even loop. I would just flip the cassette back and forth. And yeah, I mean, I freaking love Michael Jordan. But you know what I didn't see in this movie? Michael Jordan and basketball.
Hey,
that's
you know
what I didn't see.
You know what? If the Cocaine Bear showed up as much as Michael Jordan in this movie, that movie would have been amazing. But you wanted a Cocaine Bear-esque presence in this movie. You wanted to see super jumping and all kinds of carnage, but on a basketball court.
I just wanted to see some Michael Jordan. And like I knew going into it, I probably wasn't going to get a lot of it, right? But I did not expect to get zero Michael Jordan.
You know what, man? You know what? I'm gonna extend an invitation. You gotta come out to Chicago this summer. We'll go to the Museum of Science and Industry and we'll watch the OG classic Michael Jordan to the max on the IMAX screen there. And you'll get all the Michael Jordan you need.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. But until then, this is Dan, the part-time Avenger. That's Mark, the Resident Jedi.
Like and subscribe. Smash that button. Let us know your favorite Jordan shoes, Jordan moment. And if you can do this all day, and any other movies that we should take a look at revolving around sales, business, basketball, or anything else.
Michael Jordan's the GOAT.
Word.